Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the work session for the Amityville Union Free School District meeting, date June 5th, 2024. I'm calling the meeting to order at 5:32. So at this point in time, present at the meeting is myself, President Lisa Johnson, Superintendent Dr. Peter Talbot, First Vice President Jeanette Santos, Second Vice President Carol Seehoff, Trustee Juan Leon, Trustee Linda Canestro. Also present is Dr. Joan Lang, Assistant Superintendent for Clinical Instruction, Dr. Bridget Waite, Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, Miss Olivia Buatsi, Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operation, Carl Frazier, Financial Consultant, as well as Melissa Durnan, who is our district clerk. At this point in time, at 5:33 p.m. Can I have a motion to go into executive session for a particular person's employment history, as well as advice from counsel regarding ATA negotiations? Counsel, John Sheening should be arriving within the next 30 minutes. So Carol Seehoff is first, Jeanette Santos is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Absent from the meeting tonight is Leslie Kretz.
The Education met earlier this evening for executive session for advice from counsel regarding ATA negotiations and AAA updates, as well as particular person's employment history. At this point in time, in the unlikely event of emergency, you need to note the exits are clearly marked. Take a moment to note the exit nearest to where you're seated. Smoking is not allowed on the school grounds. As a courtesy, please turn off all phones during the meeting, and please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. At this point in time, we're going to turn the meeting over to Dr. Talbot.
Good evening to our Board of Education, colleagues, and community. On tonight, Superintendent's presentations will include the Office of Curriculum and Instruction and a summary of the initiatives that have been encountered this year. The Advisory Council has been led by our very own Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Dr. Lane, who will lead tonight's presentation. We would like to acknowledge the members of the Advisory Council, and please stand if you are with us this evening. Mr. Evan Farkas, Nakia Wolf, Dr. Pauline Collins, Dr. Francis Fernandez, Rose Hutcherson, Mary Stevens, Nicholas Castro, Paul Grosso, Jenny Smith, and Tina Smith. At this time, Dr. Lane.
Thank you, Dr. Talbot. On? Yes. The purpose of my presentation this evening is twofold. First is to provide the trustees with background information for actions the district's advisory council will be asking the board to approve at its June 12th meeting. And second, and for me the most important, it's an opportunity to shine the spotlight and take a minute and a half to share appreciation for the district's incredible teachers and administrative leaders who for the last 4 years have worked tirelessly to change the results for our amazing Amityville scholars. I am sad that more teachers and administrators are not here, so I ask the board to join me in saluting their work. Recently, we have faced sadness, but tonight it is about celebration and honoring those who have given way more and far and above what is expected. Where's my clicker? Thank you, Dr. Wade. As you know, Board Policy 4200 governs our curriculum and instructional changes in this district. As Dr. Talbot just mentioned, that we're co-chaired by Mr. Farkas, the president of the AAA, and Mr. Wolf, the president of the ATA. And they are joined by 4 members of the teachers union and 4 members of the administrative unit. 4 years ago, monies from the American Rescue Plans allowed the district to create a vision. Post-COVID, our students, as well as students across our nation, were struggling. Our district asked the question, how can we improve the lives of our students? And the answer pictured here as a completed puzzle shows the interrelated pieces. The committee members, I forgot now I need my shirt. I want to make sure, although time does not permit me to read the names of every member of the committee, I do want to introduce the 12 puzzle pieces and say thank you to the co-chairs. Our Athletic Initiative Committee is chaired by Mr. Farkas and Ms. Howard. Our Blue Ribbon Committee by Dr. Fran Fernandez. Our Digital Literacy Committee by Dr. Pauline Collins and Mr. Quinn. Our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee by Mrs. Hutchinson and Mrs. Mendelson. Our English Language Arts Committee by Dr. Virginia Figueroa and Mrs. Jody Wilshire. Our Grading Committee by Ed Playa and Mr. Nick Castro. Our Lesson Plan Committee, again by Mr. Playa and Mr. Wolf. Our Mathematics Committee, Pre-K to 12, by Ms. Natasha Lim and Mr. Chris Salo. The multiple tiered support system, formerly called AIS, Academic Intervention, was chaired by Dr. Pauline Collins and Ms. Carrie Nasso. The Professional Development Committee was chaired by Dr. Fran Fernandez and Mrs. Patty Deek. The Social Emotional Learning Committee was chaired by Mr. Peter Paternostro and Mrs. Beatrice Orfito. And finally, the World Language Committee was chaired by Ms. Garcia and by Elise Castro. Together, the Curriculum Advisory Council and the 12 subcommittees pledged to change mindsets together, knowing that re-engaged students means a decrease in chronic absenteeism, a decrease in discipline referrals, and most importantly, an increase in academic success. Additionally, the committee members knew, particularly those in ELA, math, and MTSS, that we must make sure that we monitor the progress that the initiatives that we took and that the board approved were in fact making a difference. We asked the board several years ago to adopt a new universal benchmarking system called iReady, one that would more accurately predict the success on our state tests. And although we have only 1 year of data, that data indicated to us that the iReady is in fact predictive of how our students will do. The ELA committee asked the board, and the board adopted a program called SAFIS. The math committee asked the board to approve, and the board did, to approve an adoption of a program called Reveal, both rich in resources to provide additional resources for our teachers and students. And they were closely aligned to the new state next generation standards. On the next slide, you'll see an example, and I realize that you can't see it, but tomorrow, actually not tomorrow, because we have not finished the third administration of the iReady. But as soon as we complete, these charts will be available to you on the curriculum website. This slide is an example, just one example of the charts which will be available to you. This is the third administration of iReady, the first being in October, 18 weeks later in January, and now in June. But please join me in congratulating all on continued progress. Early returns from our Park Avenue Elementary School, our identified school, are noteworthy. In the beginning of the year, our third grade students, 32% of the students were at or above grade level. As of June, 46% of our students are at or above grade level. In grade 4, at the beginning of the year, 17% met proficiency. Now 33% are meeting proficiency. And again, in grade 5, 12% began the year below grade level, and at this point, 28% are scoring at or above grade level. Again, to quote from my favorite teacher, Robert Frost, yes, we have miles to go before we rest, but progress is applaudable. Also included in tonight's presentation are the names of the teachers and administrators who served with distinction on the district's committee. Although too many to read, I hope that the honor roll on our website will serve to let each and everyone know how appreciative we are of their work. Next week, to the circle. Next week, we are going to ask, the Curriculum Advisory Council is going to ask the Board of Education to approve the work of 6 more of the committees: Blue Ribbon, Digital Literacy, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and ELA, and Professional Development. During the year, the Blue Ribbon Committee identified the characteristics of an Amityville graduate. They were charged with what is the portrait of an Amityville graduate. After long and arduous debate, they selected the characteristics of critical thinkers, socially and emotionally competent individuals, culturally competent individuals, effective communicators, literate across areas, global citizens, and last, innovative problem solvers. Next week, you will have the privilege of meeting the two 11th grade students who won the design, the logo for the profile of the Amityville graduate. Daniel Zelaya Maldonado and Kelly Prince will be here for the announcement. It is important to note that over 300 people, staff members, students from pre-K to 12, and board members and staff members all had an opportunity to select the winning logo. Next week also, the board will be asked to, I'm sorry, next one. Thanks. Next week, the board will be asked to approve the digital literacy project, which identifies the evidence that will be accepted by elementary teachers to show what students know, understand, and are able to do at the end of pre-K, kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, knowing the new standards of digital literacy, which we are mandated to implement by 2025. The board also will be asked to look and approve new books for our for our 11th and 10th and 11th grade English students. The next generation of standards in language arts require that materials and that they be rich, rigorous, and relevant. They also require that students have choice. Choice not only in selecting materials to be read, but choice in showing how they will demonstrate what they know, understand, and can do. The project identifies all of the areas that the children will have a choice in. And lastly, the board will be asked to readopt the 23-24, 24-25 professional learning plan. Given that so many of our teachers are consummate professionals dedicated to learning, the committee has designed a recognition program to help celebrate learning and reward teachers who are first and foremost amazing learners whose thirst for more is never satisfied. Clearly, in the words of Winston Churchill, this is not the end. This is not even the beginning of the end. This is just perhaps the end of the beginning. For my part, I would like to thank the board, the teachers, administrators, parent partners for the wonderful journey. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lang, for that presentation and your dedication to everything that you've done. Say it again.
For the end of the beginning.
Yes. Yes. Right. So at this point in time, is there any community input regarding board agenda items only? Excuse me. So input regarding board agenda items only at this time.
Hi, Chris Nearing. The contract for the special education at a district, is there any cost attached to that now? And if there is there any idea how much it would cost to bring those kind of services within the school?
Dr. Talbot, in regards to agenda item 3E1. Yep, in regards to contract for educational services.
The 3E1 I'm looking at is for service contracts for special education for 24-25 school year.
Yes.
So these contracts consist of,
No, it's just this one. It's for this week's agenda for June 5th.
for June 5th.
The
only.
Okay.
Jericho, what was it?
Yeah, Jericho,
Okay.
yeah. mhm.
Jericho, I mean,
Yeah,
my
just that one.
question was kind of, I guess, broad if there's cost for whatever school district goes to, but I guess specifically this one.
So this is a health and services contract for a student who attends a private school located in the Jericho School District. And so therefore, we have an obligation to pay for the services required by that student or students.
But so it is special education or it's not special education?
Yes, it is for special education
Oh,
services.
Okay, but they attend a private school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that was all I had.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding agenda items? Seeing none, at this point in time, I'm going to move forward with the agenda. If it's okay with the board, because I'm not too sure if there'll be a lot of questions for the June 12th review of the draft agenda. Is it okay if I can move forward? So therefore we can acknowledge the tenure individuals and I'll come back to that. Is it okay? Okay. All right, so I'm going to move forward. I'm going to do agenda item 3A1, please. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3A1?
Motion to approve?
Juan Leon first,
Second.
Carol Shore second. Any questions regarding this item? It's a personnel item. Any questions?
I'm just gonna say, I'm not opposing any tenures, but.
No, not the tenure. This is donation of sick days. So 3A,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Oh, Sorry, guys.
That's okay. So any question regarding the donation of sick days? Right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Right, so can I have a motion to table agenda item on the, for 3B1, A1, page 1. Can I table under 3B1, A1 on page 1? Can I have a motion to table that agenda item?
So moved.
Carol, see office first.
Second.
Juan Leon, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Ms. Santos, I didn't hear you. Are you opposed or? So one no. Can I have a motion to approve, I'm gonna give you a second, have a motion to approve the remaining items on 3B1?
Motion to approve?
Juan Leon is first,
Second.
Jeanette Santos is second. Any discussion regarding these agenda items?
Yes, okay. I just wanted to say, I'm not opposing any tenures. I wish everybody luck and congratulations. This is a big point in time in your careers. But I didn't have an opportunity to review. I just got it. It was a big book to review of the tenure packets. So I'm going to recuse myself from this vote.
Okay, thank you. All. Can I just do the vote? So all those in favor in regards to 3B1 and remaining, are the remaining items on the PAR? Because I got the first and the second, so all those in favor for the
Aye.
remaining items on the PAR,
For the, other than tenure?
other than tenure.
Okay, I do have something to say about that. Okay, sorry. It's confusing. On,
So
Page-
just for, hold on one second, just for
Yeah.
clarification. If you're gonna recuse yourself on all the tenure items, then I'm gonna have to rescind that motion and do it again.
okay, because I'm
because-
only recusing on tenure.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I can I have a motion to rescind that motion to approve the remaining items of the,
So moved.
so Wendy Kneschel is first. Can I have a second? So
We're just going
the,
back.
so I'm moving, so in order to be, for Wendy to accuse herself for the tenure items, I'm gonna have to do them separately. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I just need to pull back the motion that was on the table because we were up for a vote. So Wendy gave me a first to rescind that motion. I just need a second. I need a second, someone.
Second.
All those in favor to rescind that motion? Aye.
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 So motion carries 5-0. So I'm gonna go back to that item just for clarification. So can I have a motion to approve agenda item for under the PAR 3A1 and then 3A3 through 3A12?
Motion to approve?
Second.
So Carol Seehoff is second, Juan Leon is first. So once again, it's 3A1 and then 3A3 to 3A12 on page 1. Right? So those are all the tenures. Okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone?
I recuse.
Opposed?
I recuse.
So 1. So I'm going to move forward with the remaining part of the PAR. So for the remaining part of the PAR, which goes from page 2 up to page 10. All right. Page 2 to page 10. So that's 3B1 through 3, 3C1 through just want to make sure I have through 77, D1 through D3, and then on page 9, A1, B1 to B4, and C1, and on page 10, D1 and 2, and then E1 through 7. Right, so that's the remaining parts from page 2 to page 10. Can I have a motion to approve the remaining part of the PAR?
I had a comment.
So
On-
on page
so
2 to
move.
page 2 to page 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna get
before-
to that part.
Before the.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that. So Jeanette Santos is first. I need a second.
Second.
Juan Leon a second. Any discussion on this item?
Okay, I'm all out of sorts, sorry. Two things I wanted to bring up. I was asking why, there was summer arts and, sports camp when we were accessing people, but it was explained it's because it's a grant. And the other thing is on page 2, Leaders of Tomorrow, Girls on the Run. It's retroactively being approved from January. Why is that? Why wasn't that presented to the board in January?
Dr. Talbot, can you address that? Or one of your
Sure.
cabinets?
I'll ask Dr. Lang to just sort of address the history as to how that transitioned from then to now.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Is this on?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, that was an activity that began early in the year at Park Avenue with 3 teachers. And unbeknownst to us, the individuals who were working with the board-approved teacher were not board-approved. They were not included, and the Girls on the Run require three teachers to every small group of students. And it was brought to my attention at the 5K run at Eisenhower Park, where our girls were absolutely amazing. They ran with a buddy and did phenomenally well. It was brought to my attention that only one of the 3 teachers had been paid. So that's the reason why we're asking that the other 2 be included in tonight. And as you know, Leaders of Tomorrow is the Empire Grant that will be paying for that.
Okay, I just want to say, I understand that it's grant funded, but one of the things from the audit, the external audit, is us retroactively approving things. And this should have been presented in January, so I have nothing against those that are on here. I have nothing against the program. I think it's great, but I won't be approving something retroactively for pay from January.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
I'm in favor of everything, and my no is for B1 and 2.
At this point in time, Dr. Talbot, I'm gonna pass it over to you.
I can speak from here. Tonight, we are delighted to celebrate a significant milestone in the careers of several remarkable members of our school community. Achieving tenure is a momentous occasion, and we are proud to honor our dedicated educators and leaders. First and foremost, we pay tribute to our assistant principal. Visionary leadership and unwavering commitment to our school's success has been pivotal in shaping a nurturing and dynamic learning environment at our high school. The profound impact on students, staff, and families is a testament of their educational leadership. At this time, I invite our AAA Vice President, Dr. Fran Fernandez, to come up and acknowledge Mr. John Cardone. Mr. Cardone, if you would come forward.
John, we would just like to congratulate you on your tenure. We've known that you've done so many remarkable things with the students at Amityville Memorial High School, and we know that you are going to have a wonderful future career with us and having a great impact on our students. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you. Next, we extend our deepest gratitude and congratulations to our teachers. Their unwavering dedication, innovative methods, and steadfast commitment to our student scholars' growth and development are truly awe-inspiring. They are the architects of young minds, fostering a love of learning that transcends time. At this time, I invite our ATA president, Mr. Nakia Wolf, to come up and acknowledge Ms. Melissa Roberts, teacher of science, if she would come on down. Mr. Daniel Manley and Carrie Mott, special education educators. And Nicole Gross, elementary educator.
Good evening, everyone. To the members of the ATA, I would like to congratulate you on this milestone achievement. I can say that tonight we are here to congratulate you for reaching one of your many professional milestones. 3 years ago, I spoke about what it was like to go through the tenure process during a challenging time. I can say the same for tonight. You have unwavering perseverance and dedication to your school district, and that is why you are here tonight. Our school district is going through one of the most difficult time periods it has in decades. I know this because I've been here for over 2 of those decades. Despite the loss and heartbreak, it is you who will move the district forward. You will be part of the new foundation and culture that will do more than just talk about change, but actually make change happen. Tonight, I think back to what it is that my mom would say to me when I was growing up. All storms pass, and ultimately the sun's light triumphs. Be the light that helps us move forward and guides our students towards success. Don't forget the hard work that got you here. To your families, loved ones, and colleagues, allow them to share in this moment with you. Understand no one is prouder than they are of you. In closing, welcome to the club, and don't let anyone or anything compromise your professionalism. Congratulations again, thank you, and best wishes as you forge ahead.
Congratulations. We also honor our teaching assistants. Their hard work, patience, and support play a crucial role in our students' daily learning experiences. They are often the unsung heroes in our classrooms, providing individualized attention and care that make a world of difference. We ask that all teachers would stay because we want to get a group photo before you leave. And so we invite CSEA 2 representative, Ms. Sharon Gomez, to come forward and acknowledge Elizabeth Cruz, Danielle Longwell Rogers, Giselle Moore Hernandez, Anna Gautama, and Rochelle Powell. If you're here this evening, please join us.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Gomez, and I'm Secretary for CSEA 2. I'm speaking tonight on Christine Romanelli's behalf, our president. I would like to congratulate all the teaching assistants who received their tenure this evening and wish you all the best of luck.
We would also like to call Judith Forsbauer and acknowledge her tenure if she's here. At this time, tenure is a testament to each of these individuals' exceptional contributions, consistent excellence, and steadfast dedication to our school community. Congratulations To each of you, your passion, dedication, and hard work inspire all of us to make our schools a better place. At this time, if the candidates, well, no longer candidates, the awardees would come forward for a picture, and then we would break for a recess that we may have a reception with you in honor of your tenure status. So please come forward and we'll organize ourselves for a group photo.
Okay, where are the teachers? The teachers gonna come in?
Everyone is invited to join us outside for some light refreshments.
head. When I see my head on the screen, I get angry.
I think so. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to resume the meeting at this point in time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to continue down the agenda and I'll go back to 2C1. So can I have a motion to amend the agenda to add agenda item 3C1, please? To add agenda 3C1, that's the use of facilities for the use of the parking lot. I'll explain to everyone in a second. So Jeanette Santos is first. Carol Seehoff is second. All those in favor? Aye. Wendy, are you with me?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
yes, okay. The vote passes 5-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3C1, please?
Motion to approve?
Juan Leon is first. Carol Seehoff is second. So for agenda item 3C1, for that particular item is use of facilities. Freedom Chapel, which is located on 110 in North Amityville, they are having a community day this Saturday. And it's gonna, I believe it's from 10 to 5, but they are requesting to use our parking lot if there's any excess of cars, and they will provide a shuttle from the Freedom Chapel, from the parking lot at the middle school back to the Freedom Chapel. This was something that they did, this is something that they did with us last year, and we did approve for them just to use the area for parking. So the event goes from 1 to either 1 to 4 on Saturday, but they're asking to use our parking lot from 8 to 5 if there's any overflow. So that was the amendment of the agenda. This was an item that came through to the district not about a couple of days ago. They needed to fill out the application as well as provide the insurance. The insurance was provided today, this afternoon, as well as the use of facilities application. So that's why it's being amended to be added to the agenda at this point in time. Does the board have any other questions regarding this item? So all those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Didn't we vote?
No, we voted to amend the agenda to add it, and then we voted, to the first and second, and I was just doing the explanation. So the motion carries 5-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3E1, please?
Motion to approve?
Juan Leon is
Second.
first.
Second.
Wendy Canestro is second. Any questions regarding this agenda item? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries 5-0. I'm going to go back to 2C1, which is review of the draft agenda for June 12th. So go to the June 12th agenda. And there's no voting on this agenda, just review of the agenda for next week. All right. So next week, there will be several presentations. Also, for the board for the community as well as the board, there will be minutes that will be added to the agenda. Right, it's minutes for, it's for May, for the 2 meetings in May, for the special meeting, for the election meeting, as well as the meeting on May 30th. So all of those minutes will be on the agenda for next week. The board in the executive session, Melissa left for us all of those minutes to review, and they will be posted up online if they're not already to review, right? So those minutes will be available to review. If anyone has any questions, they can definitely bring the questions up regarding those minutes at the next meeting. I will go down to agenda item 3B1. At this point in time, we don't have a PR, correct, Dr. Talbot, for 3B1? For the 12th, so we don't have a PAR. If there's anything that needs to be added, it will be provided to the board by Friday of this week. Going to, any questions regarding what I've already spoke about? Going to agenda item 3C 1 through 7. Any questions regarding agenda items 3C 1 through 7? I'll start with 3C1. Any questions regarding 3C1, please, in terms of donation? Any questions regarding agenda item 3C2? Any questions regarding budget transfer 3C3?
In general, I'm going to have some budget questions. You know, we received the budget to actual, so I'll just have a few questions then, and I'll address it at next week's meeting.
Okay.
Madam President,
Yes.
if it's all right, can we have our Assistant Superintendent of Finance just briefly describe the nature of this budget transfer?
But you're looking for 3C3 as well as 3C7, or just for one of them?
Both would be good.
Dr. Talbot?
Ms. Bawati, if you could elaborate on 3C3, which is from district-wide technology. To district-wide technology plan contracted services and from employee retirement for the amount of $39,764.
Yes. That budget transfer is to cover the cost of the data person that the district hired to be analyzing our student data, level 0 data, and all the data that we need for students, as well as, entire district. So we engage a consultant to be responsible for that, and that's the services that she's providing. And this budget transfer is to cover the cost.
Ms. Leon, any other questions regarding that item?
I'm sorry, was that a description for 3C3 or 3C7?
3.
Okay, can I have a description for 3C7, please?
The 3C7 7 is for the $259,000, right? Is that the big one that you're talking about?
3C7 is to contract services for the Board of Education for $18,500
Oh, that's
from the
for,
employee retirement
that's for the
forensic,
forensic audit.
to cover the cost of the forensic audit. And the forensic audit report has been posted
Yes.
on the website for your review, and the process to get answers regarding your questions, as President Johnson articulated back when they gave the presentation, was that to email the district clerk any questions you may have. And if we, as the district, can answer them, we will. If not, we will forward them to the audit firm to respond.
Any other questions in 3C 1 through 7? Any other questions in this area? All right. See none for the treasurer's report, 3D1. I believe, Ms. Canestro, you were saying that you would have some questions regarding that next week?
Yeah, there's just a couple questions about that. Can y'all hear me? From the,
No, we can't
okay,
hear.
from the budget to the actual, I just have a few questions on it.
Okay. If you're able to just provide the question to,
I was
Miss-
gonna, but it's a lot. I mean, maybe I'll just call you.
well, either way, if you, and still ask the questions in public, but at least if there's something that needs to be reviewed or researched, you'll be able to have answers that particular night. It's up to you. All right, any questions, any other questions regarding 3D1? And regarding 3E1 through 44, any questions regarding these contracts for special education?
These are all for 24, 25, right? Because I think there was a miscommunication in the email. You had said 23, 24, but I think you thought I meant about Jericho. I was talking about this. So this is for next year.
Yes.
Okay.
The contracts listed here are for 24, 25, and we're bringing them on the 12th because some of those services will need to be activated July 1.
Any other questions regarding these items? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go back to the June 5th agenda. So no more questions regarding the June 12th agenda. Right, so I'm going back to the June 5th agenda. And at this point in time, it'll be community input regarding non-board agenda items.
Hello, Caroline Fanning. I want to address what was brought up at last week's meeting with regard to trustee Heller's seat. I find the board's decision to fill the vacant seat before Megan Messman and I are appointed to be completely out of touch with the will of the electorate. I know you have the legal right, but the voters spoke loud and clear when they elected us by a very wide margin on May 21st. Allowing Megan and myself the opportunity to participate in the appointment process would do so much to turn the page and to move forward collectively, because that's what we really do want to do. We do want to work collectively. Secondly, the forensic audit or report, I'm not quite sure if it's an audit or report, which was approved in March, it was finally posted on the website today, and I only just had a chance to skim through, but the paragraph that caught my eye, which was on page 14. It reads, most members of the board at any school district do not typically work in finance or business, and accordingly do not necessarily have a strong business acumen. They rely on school district management to provide them with accurate and transparent information on the status of the district's financial performance throughout the year. And then the report goes on to list findings and recommendations. It goes on to talk about the high cost of turnover in leadership. Business acumen at the board level may not be critical for a board if administration is consistent. But when it is not, as it has not been in Amityville for years, the board needs to step up. We just watched and celebrated 10-year appointments, and there's no doubt that the hardworking teachers of Amityville deserve to be celebrated. Yet, as the forensic audit points out, The lack of business acumen at the board level and the consistency administration means that upwards of 70 teachers are going to lose their jobs at the end of this month. And now you are poised to fill a vacant seat. So even though I may not have a vote, I ask you to consider this. I hope you prioritize independent business acumen and/or effective school board experience above anything else when you choose this appointment. That is our best hope for getting teachers and staff back into the classrooms. And right now, that is what this district needs more than anything else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Margaret Shuff, South Bayview Avenue, Amityville. Firstly, I'd like to express gratitude to Trustee Santos for her years of service. Despite our disagreements during her tenure, I believe her intentions were ultimately for the benefit of the children. Secondly, regarding last week's special meeting held at an absurdly early hour of 6 p.m., seemingly designed to limit the audience, I suspect many of my concerns I suspect many share my concerns about the questionable timing. Additionally, the orchestrated planting of a question by a community member regarding the vacant trustee seat was evident. Acting upon a non-agenda item was transparent manipulation. If the vacancy was genuinely urgent, it would have been addressed earlier and placed on the agenda for discussion and community input, and much earlier. Your perceived transparency is only revealing the true motives at play. The community sees through your actions, and recent election reflects the desire for change and improvement, which cannot be ignored. This vote is not urgent merely because you claim it to be. It should align with the voices of the newly elected representatives. Your display of power over service yet again is grossly obvious.
Thank you. Any other community input?
Hi, good evening, Danelle Cronin. Just a quick question. The senior trip, did that ever happen?
Not as of yet. Senior trip date was changed to the 12th, June 12th, so
June-
next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. And are they going to Hershey? I know there was a fundraiser with popcorn, and were they able to generate the appropriate funds that they can enjoy a day?
To the best of our knowledge, all things are in place for them to leave on June 12th. So we don't have any area of concern at this time.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Good evening. Okay, I was just trying to find something on the internet. Maybe you can help me figure it out. The auditor, when you passed the resolution to hire the forensic auditor, was that a walk-on? Because I can't find it on an agenda, but I saw in minutes that there was a financial auditor appointed, but there are no resolutions attached to the minutes.
I would have to go back and check and see. I'm not
Okay,
certain off the top of my head.
All right. I don't want to, I'm going to need that. The problem I have is the cover letter on the audit report, which you guys said we were going to have the presentation from the auditor. So putting it up on the website, you're giving it to us to digest ourselves.
They did do a presentation to the community.
No, they did a warm and fuzzy, we're not going to go into details, and we weren't allowed to ask questions.
That was the presentation
No.
I'm just saying that was the presentation that they provided
Okay.
to us. Go ahead.
If you look at the video on your website, you'll see that it was promised that he was coming back to answer community residents.
It was, if I recall, I'll listen to the video again just to confirm whether or not, I think they did state that if needed, they would return to answer questions.
Okay, I think you need it. And I'm not saying that disrespectfully, I'm just saying it's on the website for us to digest. I happen to have experience as a school board member, so I know what I'm reading. But this is a lot of stuff. for the average community member to sit and read. I'm going to say that there's so much to talk about in here. And for me to sit in front of a computer and type paragraphs of my questions just to get an answer is ridiculous. But if we're in a certain situation, we have to build back the district. Does everybody know what the plan is to bring all these teachers back and put them back in the classroom? How do we get them back? There's too many people to get them back next year or the year after or the year after that. So what do you tell these kids as they're moving up? Where are these teachers going to be? Or did we not really not need them because they're gone? So that is, when you read this report, and I'm not going to go into details right tonight, because there's stuff that's pointing fingers at gross negligence. I'm not going to do that from the podium and talking about somebody that might be sitting at the dais. I don't think that's correct. But when it talks about the school board, you're elected officials, and you are subject to our opinions. When you guys said at the November meeting, this is the first time we're hearing it, and we all asked you multiple times, this is the first time. The audit says you learned it in August. A school board.
We learned, hold on a second, pause the clock. We learned in August that there was a problem, but we did not know until it was November, what the level of the problem was. So when we were informed that there was a problem, we were never informed that the problem was the 3 million.
Okay.
We were informed that there was a problem and was estimated maybe a couple $100,000, if that. It wasn't until later on that we were told the exact amount.
Okay. The auditor pointed out a couple of things that are very important. It was 11.2 million that was sitting in the kitty. And it needed to be encumbered. In fact, 11.8 needed to be encumbered. That reflects somewhere in your monthly reports, because one item's going to not show paid, and it's gonna be like, wow, we were supposed to pay 3 million on that. Why is it still sitting there? Oh, it's in this fund. Let's fix it. You can't, because I don't even think it was their job to say, well, they're not business professionals. You're seasoned board members. The monthly reports is what guides you. So if one line is not being paid and the money's sitting somewhere else, we got to move it back. So you spent more than you even had in the reserves. And that's where we got to where we are. When I would like to see that resolution, because I believe we hired a forensic auditor, and the cover letter says, no, we are a forensic, what's the word? Forensic review. That's not what the resolution said. That's why I want to see it. Their summary kind of gives you guys an out, because it's saying that things were kept from you. Things were kept from you because you didn't have strength in your leadership to oversee the administration. You can't keep changing assistant superintendents, but you guys all stayed the same. All those people left and came and gone, and money was going everywhere, but you guys were the ones that were consistent. So I think the community needs to know, with everything that we lost, with this report, where's the plan, and where do we get confidence that you're going to put the teachers back in the classroom and bring back and all the programs that were cut? So I'm going to go through this more, because, and I know some people had already gone through it, but let's hear about your response to the Board of Ed section. Why don't we talk about finances at the meetings? Why don't we discuss, as a board, you guys, discuss finances? You get a board pack, you have your monthly report. If you don't understand it, this is where you ask. So that has been absent for years, because you always say, oh, I wasn't here, or or that one changed, this one changed. All those reports went before you. And here we are. We dismantled education in Amityville.
So just pause it for, so, to respond to the last part of your question. And I will say, and if you go back, if there's any audio, for years, this is even prior to, this is for years, there's been very minimal questions in regards to the, report that we receive on a monthly basis. One thing that we are changing as we move forward is exactly that, and I think it's with the help of Ms. Bawatsi and Mr. Frazier, is asking for a summary of some of the key points out of the report, or also some things that, as a board member, things that we should look at. We also had a presentation by Bob Vecchio, who's with the National Suffolk School Board Association, who spent years out in William Floyd as a school board president. And he gave us, he met with the board and gave a presentation. So that is one area that we have been committed to as a board. And I believe I'm correct. I believe my board members are, and Wendy's not aware of this, that, that this is one area that we recognize that as a board, that we need to ask more questions, more clear questions in regards to the treasurer's report. So you are correct in that, your statement.
I just, the finances is what makes education happen. I had a good education under Dr. Kunsham. You guys know who he is. We knew exactly what he was talking about because he educated us. We didn't say, here's everything, you go run wild. He educated us. We didn't borrow money for our tax anticipation notes. We were very well informed because the superintendent demanded it. We were just as new as you guys were at one point in your tenure as a school board member. But he insisted that we were educated, and every little thing was brought up to us and talked about and discussed to nauseam. And I'm sure you could probably agree. So I just, it's everybody working together, but it can't be 10 different islands, because that, the report actually talks about different departments not communicating. So we just need a better plan, and insulting us with, put all your questions, I don't agree with that. I think that's wrong, and I think you should reconsider it. Let us talk to you. I mean, I spent 2 hours just reading this report. So, I don't know, but thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Megan Messman. I was here a few days ago for my first orientation as a new elected trustee. Obviously not sworn in yet, but I asked the question of Ms. Johnson of delaying the appointment of the vacancy until after July 1st, when Caroline and I can be sworn in and be part of the appointment. I asked that question as nearly 1,100 people voted for my voice to be part of the solution. And I asked that question, I really hope that you reconsider and you give us a chance to show you that we're capable of working as a unit to move this district forward. I had a lovely conversation with a teacher today that is getting relocated to a classroom or grade that he's never taught before, and he's going in it in an optimistic mindset. This is a school district, and the representatives of the school district should have a growth mindset and see this change on the board as an opportunity and not as a threat. You'll see in working with me that I'm an easy person to work with. I deal with many angry stakeholders, many large clients, and I know how to deliberate and come to solutions. I ask you to please reconsider the appointment to after we, as the community's choice, are on the new school board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other community input regarding non-board agenda items?
Hi, Chris Neering again. Just backing up the questions on the forensic order, I do remember, I don't remember if it was the auditor themselves or the board stating that we would have an opportunity to ask the auditors questions about the report after it was presented. So I guess if you're going to look back, I'm agreeing that that's what was said. And was there any announcement or robocall that the audit was available to the public?
No, there was no robocall that occurred.
Can there be a robocall presented? Because I know there's a lot of people that don't follow the weekly, monthly board meetings that would like to know about the forensic audit and be able to read it.
So board members, are you okay with a robocall going out in regards to the forensic audit?
I am.
Dr. Talbot, if that's something that can be done for tomorrow.
And last week I asked if there could be some kind of a breakdown put together of all the positions that were accessed and the amount of money that was saved.
So that request is being worked on at the present time, yes.
Okay, is there any estimate of when that would be available?
I believe it will definitely be as soon as possible. I'm not going to say by a particular date, but it's definitely being worked on because it's something that we did follow up with Dr. Talbot. So it's definitely being worked on right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jen Trotman, Colonial Drive, Massapequa. I know the board cannot go into detail about personnel matters, but in reference to the one individual who did not get tenure this evening, come on. Come on. Historically, this board makes unbelievably dumb choices when it comes to tenuring Black administrators in Amityville Union Free District. Why? Why again is this happening? Why? Why are the people that are elected to this board? I vote here, I work here, I live here, not tenuring another Black administrator. It's happening again. Why? Over the last 2 decades, we, the taxpayers, employees in this district, have watched certain members of this board pick, choose, harass, make public statements about certain Black administrators in this district. It's public.
So Jen, just be careful of
Thank
where you're going. So you have to, like you said, we can't talk about personnel. We can't talk about that. So I appreciate your comment. I appreciate what you're stating, but you're going on a very thin line. I may have to have you stop.
Okay,
Right?
I will be careful. I just find it very interesting that the one person that was tabled, not given tenure this evening, was another Black administrator. I have watched as a taxpayer this district get sued.
You're going,
I'm still teetering.
you need to, it's a road that I think you've made your point. I think you
I
made your
hope I
point.
did.
And I think that at this point in time, it'll be best to stop it here, but you've made your point.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments regarding non-agenda items?
Good evening, Nakia Wolf, ATA President. My concern is the same that it is that my concern always is for the building and climate of the teachers and the students that are in the building. We are in June. We have turnover, we have loss. Whatever it is that you're going to do, I hope that there is a plan. The last time that it is that we've had situations like this, whether it be any staff member, I asked about what it is our practices are and what documentation that it is that we have to support whatever decisions that it is that we make. I have questioned protocol. And just the overall dynamics of how it is that we work. So again, teachers, students in every single building are going through some form of change. If there is going to be change moving forward in any of the buildings, I hope that it is that the board is taking that into deep consideration and has a plan as to how is it that we are going to move forward. And that's it.
Thank you. Any other comments regarding non-agenda items?
Hi, Kayla Cooper. I have two children in the schools. I'm wondering about the Leaders of Tomorrow program, if it's going, I know we were applying for the grant. I was just wondering if that, I know it was a competitive grant. Is there any updates on that?
So Dr. Talbot, is any update on the Leaders of Tomorrow grant for the community?
Yes, I'll let Dr. Lang explain, but the district was not eligible to apply for this round.
And unfortunately, the state education department made it available only to CBOs, community-based organizations, and school districts were not allowed to apply.
Okay, is there any other grants being pursued for any after-school programs or any sort of enrichment programs for next year at all?
Yes, I'm watching the grant site very, very closely to see whether or not a former century 21st century, did I get it wrong?
21st
I always
century.
reverse it. I always get the real estate mixed up. I'm sorry, to see whether or not their new RFPs are available yet.
Okay, and then my other question is regarding the Leaders of Tomorrow program, and then also just making sure that the fields, there's something, I know that we're getting rid of a lot of field trips. I just attended the senior awards the other day, and every student that said something on the video, pretty much every single one of them said that their favorite memory was a field trip. So I really hope that everyone that was there saw that and is working towards something where we can bring those back to our district, because they are something that our children should be able to experience.
Dr. Talbot, can I just add one thing?
Sure.
I agree. I thought the exact same thing.
Mhm.
And, but I do want to add that the RECOV grant, which is the grant that will allow us to have the enrichment programs during the summer, includes field trips.
Okay, well, that's good to hear, but I hope we can bring it back for the school years and also look into some sort of enrichment program, after school program. I think those are critical for our district.
Thank you. Any other comments regarding non-agenda items? Someone else coming.
Hi, Margaret Schaff, Amityville. In view of the previous speakers, I do have a question as far as talking about plan. Like, it would behoove you all to sit there and collectively generate a plan, do a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, and go from there and actually have goals and set them and tick them off as you get them accomplished. So it would lend some credence to all this dismay and everything else if you actually collectively did something positive and went for the goal and achieved it. We're talking financial, we're talking cost savings, we're talking teachers and staff to stay, all the things that have happened detrimentally to this district. If you, like I said, planning, no plan will never work. It's obvious, we've been there, done that. You have to set in motion, in writing, and grasp for these achievements for the district, not incrementally tiny, just set the goal and drive it.
So just in response to the comment, one of the things that the board will plan to do this summer is to have a retreat. And part of that retreat is with setting goals for the district. And one of the community members mentioned, I think it was last week, about setting goals and being able to measure the goals. And those are things that were done in the past. And so with the 3 new board members the other day, we kind of talked about that just a little bit, but as an entire board, that's the one thing that we will have to do is talk about definitely putting that in place for this year. Because in order for any district to be successful, you have to have, the superintendent will establish goals along with the board, and how will those goals be measured? And depending on how those goals will be measured, will also be tied to, in some respects, to the superintendent evaluation. So that's going to be a part of, as we move forward as a district, as we move forward in collaboration with the new individuals that are coming on the board. I just want to say one thing that it was mentioned before about with the new board members coming in, that for us not to see them as a threat. And so I cannot speak for anyone else. I will always speak for myself. I don't see my new board members coming on as a threat. I believe every single board member that's already here and that will be coming on, the reason that they are running is because they're running to help all the kids within this district. They're helping, they're working to improve this district. And I believe everyone that's sitting here at the table, and for those who are coming in, are looking forward to working in collaboration with each other, because we all know that when we work divided, that it's not gonna, we're not gonna have a successful district. So I just needed to make that one comment. So any other comments regarding non-agenda items?
Dan Holmes. I would just say, just to come off of that, is that I appreciate your comment in saying that, but throughout that election process, there was certain board members that actually took to social media and were very condemning and kind of nasty to some of the newer board members. So I feel like that maybe needs to be addressed.
So I think that there were a lot of things throughout the process that there were things that were said all around. And I think as we move forward as a board, what will be important for us is that we have to move forward. You know, there were things that may have been said, actions that may have been taken. And if we're going to move forward as a board, then that's a big part of it. And that's everyone, as people, as the lawyers have even said to us as sitting board members, that social media is free speech, right? So whether it is a sitting board member, whether it's someone in the community, everyone has the right. Sometimes it's things that we don't want to hear, sometimes it's things that we don't like. But we don't have control over those things as boards.
Just one other thing is that I did appreciate, excuse me, the commentary about the auditors. I don't, maybe it's not possible, but I feel like them being here and having fluid conversations about it I would appreciate it, because after reading it, there's a lot that I'd love to ask more about, and to do it through an email just doesn't, do it the same. And I do appreciate Chris's getting the word out to everybody in the community about it, because I think it's got a lot of information to be unpacked and learned from.
No, thank you for the comment. And I will go back and listen to the audio and just see exactly what was stated. I do know that if the board made a decision to bring them back, it will be at a cost. It's not part of that original fee. So it'll be, it will be at a cost. So that's one thing that, once again, I'll listen back to the audio, and then we'll go from there. Any other questions regarding?
Hi, but everybody else does, so I'm going to. You just brought up goals, that's why I came back. You said that last year and the year before about about doing a retreat and setting goals. You said that the last 3 years that I've been coming to the meetings.
I did not say that. I was not the board president
You
it
were-
was just the last 2 years.
The last 2 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
just the 2022
Will there be
to
a
23.
superintendent's evaluation this year?
It's
Based
being,
on the
it's being
goals?
worked on now.
Based
Yes.
on the goals
It's
that
being-
are on the website?
It's being worked on now.
Okay,
Mhm.
because it was a little misleading when you said, yeah, we're going to start doing that. I wanted to make sure that, because that helps the bigger picture,
I know.
with finances, education, everything. So I just got a little, like, my heart stopped, like, what do you mean? We're gonna, okay, I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. No, someone else is coming.
Jacqueline Stevenson. I just wanted to mention about a program that I was involved in when I was in high school. I'm sorry to hear that the Leaders of Tomorrow program will not, no longer be in the school district. I've definitely utilized it. My 3 children, I mean, it's a big difference them coming home at 3:30 versus 5:30. But I definitely appreciated the program. But when I was in high school, there was a program where some high school students, I'm not sure if it was through the Key Club or, what club it was through, but it was actually my first job where myself and a couple of other students would actually walk here from the high school. And the program at the time was run by Hank Carpenter. He was one of the faculty members that ran it, and we watched elementary school kids. So that they would be bused here after school, and we, would watch them. We would go in the gym and play with them. We would help them with their homework. And I recently saw him a couple of months back, and I asked him, where did that program come from? And he said it was through a grant. So that may be something, I don't know. I mean, that was many, many moons ago, but it was definitely a great program because it gave the high school students, like I said, it was my first job. It gave me, independence, put a little money in my pocket, and it was great for the parents. It was aftercare. So I haven't heard about anything like that recently, so maybe someone could look into it. I mean, I myself will do a little research as well.
Thank you. All right. Dr. Talbot, any other community input, non-agenda? If not, we're gonna move forward. Right. Dr. Talbot, do you have anything? And then we'll go to us as a board.
Sure, I would like to just share some highlights from our school community over the last few weeks. The Interact Club, sponsored by the Rotary Club, unveiled a beautiful peace pole at the high school. The meaningful symbol displaying peace on earth in 8 languages. And so it's a testament to our commitment to unity and diversity. Our 5th graders enjoyed an exciting tour to Edmund W. Miles Middle School, giving them a preview of their next big step in education. And Park Avenue hosted its annual orientation, creating a welcoming atmosphere for incoming students. A heartfelt congratulations to our high school for a memorable senior award night. We also celebrated the induction ceremonies for the Rho Kappa National Social Studies Honor Society and the Tri-M Music Honor Society, recognizing the achievements of our outstanding students. Last night's sports awards acknowledged athletic achievement at its finest. Our schools have shined brightly with their spring concerts and art showcases, displaying our student scholars and staff's incredible talent and hard work. I want to extend a special shout out to all of our dedicated staff and hardworking student scholars who have diligently administered state tests, Regents exam, and prepared for finals. Your commitment and perseverance are truly commendable, and I would like to encourage all of us to finish a strong school year. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point in time, we're up to the Board of Education. There's one thing that I definitely want to discuss. Actually, two things. One, Dr. Talbot, in terms of the calendar for Board of Education meetings, we just need some information about that. There's been a little bit of discussion here and there with individual board members, but we need to do it collectively, because there was a discussion about the possibility of maybe doing it, instead of doing it the first two Wednesdays of the month, to maybe do it every other Wednesday, right? There has been discussion of maybe going to one meeting a month, right? So Dr. Talbot is smiling at me because I struggle with one meeting a month, because it would be a very long meeting. But if that's something that the Board of Education wants to do moving forward, then that's something that we definitely can look at. So it's something that we do need to make a decision on, because we have two new people coming in. One is already here. So we need to make a decision so everyone knows how to plan accordingly moving forward. If we're going to do twice a month, or if we're going to do, I think July, and the reorganization meeting is going to be July 11th. So the reorganization meeting will be July 11th. And then I think that's the only meeting that we have for that. Is that the only scheduled meeting at this point in time for July? I believe so. Now, August, we're going to do 2 meetings in August that we were looking at. That's the question.
I believe there were
Yeah.
2 meetings listed on the proposed schedule, and what we could do, we could send out the proposed
Yes.
schedule again, to include, Wendy, and then maybe on the 12th, we can discuss it as,
Yeah.
well, it may not be new business, we're discussing it a little bit now,
Right.
but, or a point of discussion?
Yes, and then also we can share it with Megan and Caroline, because it's something that they would need to at least to be aware of. So therefore, as we make our decision, we know what we're doing moving forward. And the other thing for me is the vacant seat, right? So the posting has gone up for the vacant seat. At this point in time, the deadline to submit is June 14th, I believe. June 14th is deadline to submit a letter of interest for that vacancy to Melissa. At this point in time, I believe as a board, we're moving forward, because we had agreed last week to move forward with it. Also, we do need to decide as a board, there's 2 things. One, we have to review all of the submitted letters of interest, and then make a decision on which of the, for candidates to interview for that particular position. So I will be in contact with the board in regards to proposed dates. And if everyone can check the calendar, I would appreciate it. Any other comments for any other board members?
Yes, I have a few. Regarding the vacant seat, I do wish that it was on an agenda for transparency's sakes. Whether things have been done one way or another in the past, I think there's always room for improvement. And I think that the community does want more transparency. So I would hope as a board, we can move forward with transparency. As far as the deadline, the board, we discussed how we wanted appointed and when we wanted appointed, but we never discussed the deadline for when those submissions had to be made. As a board, we didn't do that. We didn't pick that deadline.
We did speak about.
No, I mean the deadline for the letter submissions. You crafted the letter and did
So
the
when
deadline.
we were at the last meeting, if I remember correctly, and I'll listen to audio, one of the things we said that I believe get it done by, we said like 2 weeks. So it was, so I didn't want to put it in the middle of the week. And so 2 weeks would have been from the day that it went up, which was last Friday.
Okay,
So
I'll re-listen. I didn't hear that. A couple of other things. I wanted to know on the sign, can we get the valedictorian, a salutatorian on the sign maybe at some point? For the
They
outdoor
typically
sign?
do go up.
They
yeah,
do go up?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I know tonight's prom night, so I hope the kids are having a good time. I do want to thank the board, now that I'm on here also, that you allowed outside dates to come and you figured out how to make that work. I know I said that on the other side of the table. A couple of things, the budget information and about the money, I share in concerns, and I think everybody does, of the financial status of the district, and we all want to improve it. And we all want to work together to come up with good solutions, with student achievement being at the forefront. I was pleased, this is my first meeting, the first time I got information. There is a lot of financial information in there. There's budget to actuals. There's a lot of information for the trustees to digest and ask questions off of, and I was very pleased with that. So thank you for doing that. Regarding the forensic audit, I recall it being called a forensic audit too, so I'd like to know why it's a forensic review and not a forensic audit. I thought we were paying 18,500 for forensic audit. So I don't know why it says a review and not
I'll
an
take a
audit.
look because that's what we,
Yeah, there's a
we-
sentence in there that says it's not an audit. It's just a forensic review of the financial statement.
yeah,
That's
we
what the
will-
letter
so I
says.
will definitely take a look at that because that
Okay.
was what we had hired the individuals
Yeah.
for as a
Okay.
forensic audit.
Okay, great. I did ask if the board can receive a staff audit, a comparison from 23 to 24 to 24, 25. I think it's important for us to know where we were and where we are now in hopes to building back our staff. I would imagine it's a goal for me. I'm imagining it's a goal for the whole board. And it would be good to have that data in hand. I think you said everybody had to agree on that. So I'm asking if we can get that audit.
So the question that's being posed, all the board members heard the question of what Wendy's asking for. Is that something other board members would like as well?
A comparison of the staff from 20, and it doesn't have to be convoluted, just how many teachers aides, student, custodians, so forth. So we know where we were in 23, 24 to where we're going in 24 to 25.
So if that's some information that may take a little bit more time, just kind of hear me out. That if we're still at the point of moving people, I think most people have been moved already. No one else is being moved. If it's something that,
Oh, I'm not asking by building. I'm sorry. I'm not making it more complicated than it is. I just mean how many teachers assistants in general.
so just clarify what, I think I'm missing the point of what you're asking for.
Okay,
Just
I guess I want to know where the deficit is. How many teachers did we have in 23, 24? How many do we have going into 24, 25? Same thing with the teachers. Do you get what I'm saying, Dr. Talbot?
okay.
And
I
then the
misunderstood.
custodians. Yeah, just so that we have an idea of where we were, where we're going, and where we need to be.
I misunderstood. I thought you were asking for a breakdown.
No, I'm not trying to make it
per building.
overcomplicated.
Yes, that's information that we can provide. We have a lot of projects that we're closing out right now, so if you bear with us, we want to make sure that what we provide is accurate based upon the June 30th. So give us a little bit.
After the end of the school year.
Yeah.
Sure, no problem.
Yes.
Just two other things I want to bring up.
So before we
Yeah.
go for it, if that information is provided after the end of the school year and the timeframe is still in July, are the board members okay with receiving that information in July?
I'm fine with that, but I would also like to see a comparison, a report of exactly the amount of staff members pre-pandemic, class size across the board, teaching staff, teaching assistants.
Well, I think that's kind of expanding a little bit. I think Wendy just wants to know the number of employees, so
I
not,
understand that, but
is it connected to class sizes as well?
But let's make it a more comprehensive report. Let's include pre-pandemic numbers.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be a more accurate, look at
Meaning where we want to go pre-pandemic, is that what you're saying?
Where we were.
Where we were, but
pre-pandemic.
is the hope to go back to where we were pre-pandemic for
That's
staff?
not what I'm saying, the hopes to go back. I just would like to see what the numbers look like.
That adds to your report.
Sorry about that.
No, yeah, actually, Carol, I second that. That's a very important point.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of hiring done during the pandemic,
Absolutely.
and that was a very unique situation. So to actually have, an accurate comparison, you should at least take a sample of the district pre-pandemic. If
I mean,
if
I'm
it's
fine
gonna
with
be
that.
worth
I
it, yeah.
I don't have a problem with them.
So in some respects, it may go, because pandemic 2019, 2020, 2020 was when everything closed down. So
1920 then.
So
That would
if
be
you do.
2019 to 2020, because we
yeah.
closed down.
In 2020.
The
And
second week of March.
It was
in
March 13, 2020, we closed down, because I remember at work.
It's my birthday, I remember.
So,
Just two other quick things. So we have two meetings now, and one is called a work session and one is called a regular meeting, but they're really both meetings because action is taken at both. And it was pretty confusing with this agenda today. There were things tabled and then we had to go back. And I think it's really helpful to have counsel here if we're paying them anyway. I think it would benefit to have counsel at both the meetings. I think we've done that in the past.
They do come when they're needed, and that's why with the items that I had to amend at the table, those are things that I received guidance prior to coming out. So there are times, and I can there are times that they're here for both meetings.
Yeah,
They-
I guess I would like to see them at both, and I don't know how the rest of the board feels about that, but if their costs are covered and it's included, why not have them at both? I think it only benefits us to have real-time answers.
For me personally, if I think there's a need to have them for both, then we definitely do. There are times, there are times that they're definitely here because we feel that they need to be here for that session. So as we move forward, if that's something that the board wants, as everyone comes on, then that's something
Okay,
that we can.
because
do.
sometimes things come up you might not anticipate.
Mhm.
And the last thing that I just want to bring up, there's been significant violence at the high school. I hear of Holden places, I get videos sent to me. I guess this is what you guys got on the board before I got on the board. It's a lot. I think it's something that we should discuss as a board about what's going on, what the plan is. I mean, children are entitled to a quality education in a safe environment, and so are the teachers. It's a big concern of mine, and I would hope that we as a board can work soon towards that, especially we're going to be going into September, that we could get a handle on this or figure out how to fix this. You know, we got rid of deans and you know, some security and everything, and it's frequent enough. It's concerning. I'm concerned for the kids and the staff.
So I will say to that comment that, just like it's a concern to you, it's been a concern for all the members of the board, in terms of the fights and the things that have been occurring at the high school. One thing that with the budget and the increase in security, this was going back, I think, 2 years ago, if I remember correctly. We actually increased the number of security at the high school because of the increase of number of fights that were happening at the high school. So just like you, everyone else who's sitting up here at the table, the safety and security of our students and of our staff in that building is of utmost importance. But more importantly, to your point, is what will be the plan going forward to address the discipline issues that exist in the high school.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting for a moment that you're not concerned with it. I believe you are. Aside from the fighting, I think there's always an undercurrent to things, like maybe, you know, mental health support needs to go into place, or some restorative justice, or something that we can deliberate in public, and maybe have some ideas about. I think that the parents would appreciate it too.
I think also what would be beneficial if Dr. Talbot and her cabinet were able to provide some suggestions after communication with the staff at the high school, because I think that's most important, that being that, this is just my perspective, being that we are not in that building every single day, we don't know really what's goes on. So I think the communication with Dr. Talbot, with administration at the high school, and even the employees that are there, even students, to come up.
Can you
with
do a survey, like a survey with staff?
So that's something that, you know, Dr. Talbot with a cabinet could look at once again, we have to move quicker than later, because we want to address whatever the issues and concerns are. So therefore, when school opens up in September, there's something that we already have in place.
And just the last thing, I know that the district-wide safety plan was adopted late. It has to be adopted for the beginning of the school year. That's one of the things too, which is like the fights and the violence. So if we could form that committee early and get that going over the summer, so that it can be reviewed by the board and have the community hearing, the public hearing, and adopted and up to the state, it would be beneficial, I think, for the district.
So the first draft of the safety plan has been done. A draft was sent home to the board prior
Wendy.
to you coming on board, soliciting any feedback they may have regarding it. The committee has been formed throughout the year. we are actually in the process of reviewing it to send another copy of it to the board so that it can get to SCD by October 1st is the deadline date that we must submit. So it does have to go public for 30 days to receive comment from the public, and then a hearing, and then it's submitted to the state. So we're
The
in
only thing
progress.
on that is, I remember I had foiled for the committee minutes and the members, and there were no minutes or anything. That's one of the things that have to be done. So, members of the public have to be on it too. And, you know, the police department should be on there, fire department. It should really be an enriched committee. So if you can let me know who's on the committee, you know, currently, to ensure that that's going forward. Thank you.
Okay, will do.
Any other comments?
Madam President, if it's all right, with that report that's going to be coming to the board regarding staff numbers, if it's all right, could we also include another number, which is the amount of students that we had in those years? Oh, you were thinking that too? Yeah. Okay. Yep, if you can just add that in, that would also be helpful.
Anything else? Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn at 9:29?
Second.
Jeanette Santos is first. Winnie Canestro is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you for coming out.